Hello, all my friends. Welcome to Lotus in the Light. Thank you for joining. If you decided to click on this video, it is likely that Spirit has a message for you. I know a lot of people are going to be listening to this, so all messages may not be for everybody. Take what resonates for you and leave behind what doesn't. I've already been meditating this morning and I have an idea of what Spirit wants me to share about, but I'm just going to take a minute to, grabbing one of my stones, take a minute to open up the experience to Spirit, invite God in to reveal and share with us what it is that we need to hear. So if you want to join me, let's just take a deep breath, hold it. Thank you, Spirit, for this opportunity for us to gather and to learn together, to grow together, and to support one another through this channel. We just invite you, divine light and love only, to join us in this message, to share with us what it is that we need to hear that is for our highest and best today. Okay, so let's kick it off. Listen, it seems like part of the function of this channel, and it's a new channel, so we're still figuring things out, right? It seems like part of what I'm meant to do here on this channel is share some of my own personal life experiences, and fumbles and bumbles in my growth journey. And anybody that knows me personally knows that I'm an open book. I don't mind sharing anything. So, I had an experience this week, a few days ago, that I haven't shared about. And I definitely felt called this morning that it is time to talk about this experience. It was a great growth moment for me, but super painful. So a few days ago, I was not at home. I was out somewhere and I had a traumatic experience that exactly mirrored some trauma that I had as a teenager. It was literally the exact same experience. It caught me off guard. I thought, in a kind of a high vibrational space that day. Now, maybe I dipped down in that moment because I remember thinking, like, why is this happening to me right now? Like, it felt weird, but it didn't feel like a vibrational match for me. So I just didn't fully understand what was happening. But um, I immediately was crying. I was scared, uh, body in full flight or fight or flight or fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? Tensed up. I called my husband. I was crying. I almost made him come to me where I was. And then eventually here's what's really funny is I was doing exactly what I know doesn't work. And we all probably have been guilty of this before. Certainly I have, but it was at a time when I thought it would work. um, I'll say this. I won't say that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work the way we think it's going to work, and I'll explain more. But basically, what I was doing was reverting back to all my old ways of handling a traumatic situation. And I'm thinking that it's because I haven't had that's not true. I've had very few kind of traumatic situations happen to me since I started this journey about 11 months ago. So I just haven't had a lot of practice, right? Like I know here what I need to do, but when your sympathetic nervous system takes over, do you remember? And this was a lesson in that for me. So that's why I feel like it's important that I share it. So um, what I did when I was crying is I started to say to myself, you are loved, you are protected. Spirits helping you to grow. This is just a growth experience. So I was saying things that I knew to be true. However, I was saying them thinking that my words were going to change what I was manifesting, but it's not. My energy is driving what's being manifested, right? Because whatever I am a vibrational match for, law of attraction says is what is going to come to me. So vibrationally, I am tensed up, I am crying, I am scared. Um, and none of those things are bad. Those are natural responses to danger. Those are the way our body is supposed to operate in danger to protect us, right? Um, so initially, probably the right response. My good job, body. Did the right thing, right? But then what I needed to do that I failed to do, actually, I'll talk about that in a second. I want to kind of put the timeline to it. So eventually, I was able to leave the situation, drive away, and then reflect, right? And once I drove away, there was um, I was processing what was happening, why it was happening, and I came to two conclusions. One, while I had released any ill will towards the person that caused trauma for me as a teenager, I had forgiven and released that. What I realized, and that's what was the question in my mind was like, I let that go. What's going on? Why are we revisiting this? But I realized I let go of any ill will towards that person. I did not address the impact it had on me. I did not address the wounds within me. So that was the first thing. And this was spirit telling me, you're ready. It's time. And so I was able to um, reflect in that moment after I left. I couldn't do it when I was there, when I was scared, when I was in fight or flight mode, right? It's a later thing. I was able to look at it. It wasn't much later. I was driving, right? I was driving home. So I cried through it a little bit. I thought about it and I realized I was bearing some shame and guilt about the situation, unwarranted. There was no reason for me to feel shame or guilt about it. And so, because I had moved at a place in my spiritual journey where I had released a lot of the um, beliefs about myself, I was now able to see there was no reason for you to feel ashamed about that or guilty about that. Before, say maybe 6 months ago or however long ago, I would not have been able to let go of that shame or that guilt because I still carried some beliefs about myself that simply weren't true. So there's a process in play, right? That's why we can't judge how long it takes someone else to heal from things, right? Because you've got to be in the right place. You've got to have the right mindset. You've got to understand the right truths about yourself, about God. You've got to feel safe. All these things have to line up before you really can let go of some things, right? Other things might be very easy to let go of, and that's great. So, so that was the first thing. The second thing that I realized was that if this was a test, I failed. But I really didn't, right? Because there's no failure. Um, and that's one of those beliefs that I also had to, one of those conclusions I've also come to over the last year is that it's not really about this is the right way and everything else is wrong. It's this is the highest and best way. This is the way that's going to bring you the most love, peace, and joy the quickest. All these other ways will get you there. It just might take longer and it might be more painful. So in that moment of fight or flight, when I'm panicking and I'm thinking about potentially all the dangerous things that could happen and feeling like I wasn't safe and calling my husband and crying and rushing around and just trying to get out of that place. Um, if I would have, and this is something I never would have done in the past that I know now, yet I forgot to do it. I was doing all the positive talk, right? But what I didn't do is I didn't stop. I didn't center myself, take some long, deep breaths, calm my body, do some exercises that would help me get out of my out of my sympathetic nervous system into my parasympathetic, because knowing that I wasn't truly in danger, that there was some protection around me. I wasn't in an actual like situation right that second where I might have to make uh a life altering decision, right? Like there were some protections around me, so I could have centered. I could have taken some deep breaths. That helps get you out of your breath work is very important to help getting you out of your fight or flight mode, right? I could have done some stretches and turns. I think I've talked about that before, where, turning like that to, and doing some stretches like that, that kind of tells your body, I'm running from fear, so now I'm safe, right? So things like that. Um, and then really getting out of here, because I'm being driven by my brain right now, and getting into here, into my feels. I guess I'm being driven by both, right? Because I was being driven by fear. But remember, fear is really, even though it's a feeling, it's driven by these ideas that are here. So opening my heart, asking spirit to come in, asking God, knowing that I'm protected. And here's what would have happened. If I would have done that and just asked God to protect me, to tell me if I was in danger and I needed to leave, and trusting the answer. And what I believe happens in that moment is either you're going to get a knowing of, yes, you're in danger, it's time to go. And in fact, I would even argue that if I was in danger, and I shouldn't be, there wasn't a lesson in it for me, or something that I chose in my pre-life as one of my pre-life experiences, then spirit probably would have redirected me from that place altogether. Like something would have happened that would have caused me not to go. Or once I got there, something would have happened that would have caused me to leave if I was listening to that still small voice. Sometimes, again, we get in like productivity mode. Like I've got to do this, this, this. I'm not listening to anything else. Sorry, I just realized I had my earbud in and that was getting on my nerves. Um, I've got to do all these things, and I don't care what signs are telling me to not do it. I'm going to do it. Unless we're doing that, spirit will protect us. Things will happen. Somebody will call and say, "Oh no, I really need you to do this," and then you get diverted or whatever. And things like that do happen. Your guardian angel, um, your higher self, they will do things to help keep you safe and help keep you protected. It's a very subtle difference, the idea of fear and the idea of knowing. Fear is not, fear is not a tool. I hate to say that because that's not true. I'm trying to think of spirit. Help me say this right. Spirit doesn't cause fear. Okay. That is not a mechanism of love and light. However, spirit will use fear that you allow within yourself as a tool to help refining you by the fire, right? Those are, again, when we make choices and we can choose the path that's going to be the least painful, the most joyful, right? When we're staying aligned um, to our higher self, to our soul, we're going to learn and grow in the least painful way. But when we choose other ways, we're still going to learn. It's going to come through fear. I think I've said this before in a video. We have two choices of how to learn in this life: through wisdom and love, and through fear. And fear is just the absence of wisdom and love. It's the unknowing. It's the mystery. It's why we're afraid of the dark. Okay. So, and in fact, the funny thing is this whole thing was happening as it was getting dark. So the darker it got, the more afraid I got. So I think, there was a physical element amplifying the rest of this scene, the rest of this situation. So, um, anyway, I just want to stress, I feel like I need to stress two things for some reason. For some of you, this is kind of off topic, but I feel like roses might be significant for some of you that are listening. So if they are, just know that that's Spirit's way of confirming that there's a messaging here for you. And uh, sorry, that just totally took me off track. So, you're in bloom, right? And then the second thing is, I just feel like I need to reiterate there is a difference between a knowing, acting out of a knowing and acting out of a fear. Okay. You experience something, you encounter it, you feel scared, and you go. And you could say, my intuition told me to go. But your intuition is being clouded by fear. So it's likely that you don't really know what your intuition had to say about it because fear takes over our whole body, right? Now, if you would have calmed and centered and said, my intuition is telling me I need to get out of this place, that is different. So very subtle distinctions. Knowing doesn't feel like fear. It feels like a knowing. I'll give you a great example. How often have you heard somebody say that's been interviewed after a plane crash, I was supposed to be on that plane, but something told me not to get on? That's a knowing. They didn't say I was scared to get on. Something just told me not to get on that plane. There is a subtle difference there. So listen to that. And this is why the meditation is so important because taking the time to know the feelings of your body physically and emotionally, you will start to be able to sense the difference between fear and knowing very distinctly. Whereas if you're not in tune to your body, you will not pick up on those subtle differences. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. Oh, let's close with the card. Coming back to Spirit Animal Oracle. So let's see what we get. Wouldn't be surprised if we got something that was a four because fours are all about foundation, safety, security. So I don't know that we will, but Spirit will do its thing to wrap this up with a bow on it and let us know that yes, in fact, they were a part of this message all along. If something wants to pop out. And ironically, I'm just realizing that I'm wearing a red shirt. Um, and um, I could see the red in this picture up here. So red is the root chakra color. Root chakra is all about your foundation, all about safety, all about security. So I did not know I was going to talk about this when I put this shirt on, but I do think that's interesting. So we've got stag spirit, take the lead. And the number is a 58. So 58, 5 and 8 breaks down to a 13. And guess what? 13 breaks down to a 4. Thank you, Spirit. I mean, you can't make this crap up. I'm telling you. Okay, Stag, Spirit. Listen, I'm going to say I don't know a lot about stags, but I know that they are leaders. Take the lead, right? And I'm seeing some things. I'm sensing that part of our trust journey of moving out of the fear of the unknown and the mystery of the unknown and into a place where we feel safe and rooted and grounded and know that we are protected. Part of that is going to be drawing into our ancestors. And I'm seeing that, like, I'm seeing these like feathers and some more like native looking stuff here, which is making me feel like your ancestors are part of your protection team. They're helping to guide you. They're working with your guardian angel to make sure that as you learn and grow, that you are safe in doing so. Okay, so I'm going to read this card. 58. Stag Spirit. Take the lead. I like to hold up the card for some reason. Okay, whether or not you have set your intention to lead, you may have found yourself suddenly called to step up to the forefront of your life. Stag Spirit is a reminder that now is a time to heed the call to be sure, strong, and compassionate. Others will look at you and have it, and others will look at you, and you have it within you to see through the eyes of Stag Spirit and walk with confidence as you take on the responsibility that are yours now and model integrity in all that you do and in all your relationships. Be willing to see the best in others so that your compassionate heart keeps you on the right path. Stag Spirit wants you to know that your responsibilities now are to yourself too. And that's a big piece of this message is learning the skills to start working through the trauma in our lives And I had been working for the last 11 months really hard and learning and growing. And earlier this week, Spirit said, okay, now you're ready for this. Now you're ready to move beyond this trauma that, quite frankly, I thought I had moved beyond, but I really hadn't. And now I know that I have. And now I know that given that situation again, I will now be able to stand strong and firm and confident and not be afraid. Um, okay, sorry, I digress. Stag Spirit wants you to know that your responsibilities now are to yourself too, for you are learning and developing new skills. The best in you is coming into view as you step forward with strength, knowing that Spirit supports you as you compassionately take the lead. You are a model for transformation now, sharing your experience, strength, and hope with others that they may grow and discover their best selves too. What a gift you are. Stay humble and authentic and walk your talk, for this is how wise leaders lead. Here's a protection message. And given that we're talking about trauma and foundational, I feel like this message is going to be this part of the message is going to be very on point for this audience. Others may not be as far along as you are on your journey. When Stag Spirit appears in the protection position, you are called to be compassionate and patient as you find yourself leading the way. When others struggle to follow you, they may be unsure that you can be trusted, challenging you to be kind and strong, challenging your value and questioning your worth. Know that Spirit has put you in this place at this time for a purpose and will not abandon you when you need help with your new responsibilities. Or perhaps you are actually uncomfortable leading, maybe temporarily trapped by your small self and therefore promoting yourself too strongly, afraid that others might see weakness or imperfection in you. Let go of your fear and let Stag remind you that you have what it takes to lead wisely and ethically if you practice self-honesty and listen to others who wish to support you. Well, that definitely was a message for me. As I said, it actually ties right back to what I said at the beginning, that as we were developing this channel, it feels like it's going to be a space where I am sharing things that are happening in my life, things that make me vulnerable, but that if I'm willing to share, you're going to be able to connect and resonate with, and then we can grow together. So I think the Stag Spirit is encouraging you that as you start to grow, that you will also have the same courage to take those same leaps forward, share with others your experiences, and again, together we grow. The collective gets lighter and brighter as we do that. So thank you for joining. Love you, love your spirit and your energy, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.